To spare his life, the alien king offered his daughter to a human. The battle in space was a nightmare of fire and destruction. Explosions rippled across the battlefield as starships clashed, their energy weapons burning through metal and flesh alike. Among them was a single human vessel, the Iron Hawk, a warship built for speed and endurance. Captain Ryan gritted his teeth as another explosion rocked his ship. His crew was doing their best, but they were outnumbered. The Zarth Empire's forces were locked in battle with an unknown fleet, and Ryan had been caught in the middle. He had no loyalty to the Zareth, but he also had no reason to let an entire fleet be slaughtered. Iskander suddenly picked up a distress signal coming directly from the largest ship in the Zareth fleet. Ryan recognized it immediately. It was the Royal Command ship, home to the king of the Zarth Empire. The ship was heavily damaged, its shields failing. If the king died, the entire empire would fall into chaos. Ryan made a quick decision. Prepare a boarding team, he ordered. We're going in. His crew hesitated. Captain, that's a Zareth ship. They don't like humans. Why should we risk our lives? Ryan's voice was firm. Because we're not the kind of people who let someone die when we can stop it. The Iron Hawk pushed forward, dodging fire from enemy ships. Ryan piloted the boarding craft himself, heading straight for the dying Zareth vessel. The docking was rough, but he forced his way inside. As soon as the airlock hissed open, he was met with chaos, smoke, flickering lights, and wounded Zareth soldiers trying to fight off the attacker's blaster in hand. Ryan moved through the wreckage, cutting down enemies wherever he found them. He pushed toward the command center where the king was supposed to be. He kicked down the half-melted door and found the Zareth king slumped against the wall, bleeding. The king was tall, with dark red skin and sharp golden eyes. He looked at Ryan with surprise. A human here? His voice was weak, but filled with disbelief. No time to talk, Ryan said. He knelt beside the king and lifted him onto his shoulders. The king was heavy, but Ryan pushed forward, blasting through the corridors while carrying the ruler of an empire behind them. Explosions tore through the ship. Ryan's communicator buzzed. Captain, the ship's core is unstable. We have less than 2 minutes before it blows. Ryan's muscles burned as he ran. Enemy forces chased them, but he didn't stop. He reached the airlock just as his ship's doors opened. His crew pulled the king inside, and Ryan leaked in after them. Get us out of here, he shouted. The Iron Hawk blasted away just as the Zareth command ship exploded, sending debris flying in all directions. The shockwave rocked their ship, but they were safe. Ryan collapsed into a seat, breathing hard. The king, still bleeding, looked at him with something close to respect. You saved my life, human. Ryan shrugged. Yeah, well, you owe me a drink. The king chuckled weakly. I owe you much more than that. He had no idea how right he was. The halls of the Zarth Royal Palace were grand and intimidating. Towering pillars of dark stone stretched toward the ceiling, and golden banners bearing the Empire's crest swayed gently in the artificial breeze. Strange alien creatures, servants and guards alike, moved silently through the corridors. Captain Ryan stood in the center of the grand throne room, feeling completely out of place. He had been summoned here by King Zorvax, the very same ruler he had pulled from the wreckage of his doomed ship just days ago. Ryan had expected a simple thanks, maybe some reward, money, or technology, and then he'd be free to leave. Instead, the king sat on his massive obsidian throne, a pleased expression on his sharp-featured face. Captain Ryan, he said in his deep, booming voice, you saved my life. A debt of such magnitude cannot be ignored, and so I have decided to give you a gift worthy of your bravery. Ryan sighed. Your Majesty, you don't owe me anything. I was just doing the right thing. The king chuckled. Ah, but that is what makes you worthy of this reward. I insist. He clapped his hands, and a door to the side of the throne room slid open. Ryan turned, expecting to see treasure, rare weapons, or some advanced alien technology. Instead, he saw her. A tall, striking alien woman stepped forward, her dark red skin Shimmering under the palace lights, she wore intricate silver armor and her long black hair was braided in an elegant yet fierce style. Her golden eyes burned with anger. This, the king said, smiling, is my daughter, Princess Vela. Ryan blinked. Okay, I give her to you as a gift. Ryan's brain stopped working for a moment. What? Vela's hands clenched into fists. Father, you cannot be serious. I am very serious, the king said, ignoring the icy rage in his daughter's voice. You are reckless, disobedient, and have caused me endless trouble. Captain Ryan is a strong warrior and a noble man. Perhaps under his care you will learn discipline and respect. Ryan raised a hand. Okay, let's just slow down. You're giving me a person as a gift. That's not really how we do things where I come from. The king frowned, confused. It is a great honor for you maybe, but I will not go with this human. Vela snapped, her voice sharp like a blade. I am a warrior of the Zarkeith Empire, not some prize to be handed over. Ryan sighed and rubbed his forehead. Look, your majesty, I appreciate the thought, but I really can't accept you. We'll take her, the king interrupted firmly. She is your reward. I will not change my decision. Vela crossed her arms, her golden eyes burning with fury. I will make his life miserable. Ryan looked at her, then back at the king. Yeah, I believe that. The king smirked. Then let us see who breaks first. Ryan groaned. This was going to be a nightmare. Captain Ryan sat in the cockpit of his ship Iron Hawk, rubbing his temples. He had faced pirates, mercenaries, and space battles, but nothing had prepared him for this. Princess Vela sat across from him, arms crossed, her golden eyes burning with fury. She had been silent for the entire journey so far, glaring at him as if she wanted to set him on fire with just her thoughts. Ryan sighed and leaned back in his chair. All right, let's just get one thing straight. I didn't ask for this, and I sure as hell don't consider you a gift. Vela scoffed. Good, because I am not great, so we agreed on something. Ryan muttered. He glanced at the ship's navigation screen. They were heading back toward human space, but it was going to be a long journey. He had no idea what he was supposed to do with an angry alien princess who clearly hated him. Vales stood up suddenly. Take me back. Ryan raised an eyebrow. To your father, the one who literally gave you away because he was tired of your attitude. Her jaw tightened, but she didn't argue. Instead, she turned toward the control panel, her fingers hovering over the buttons. Then I'll take this ship myself. Ryan shot up from his chair. Oh no, you don't. Vela's fingers moved toward the navigation controls, but before she could press anything, Ryan grabbed her wrist. She reacted instantly, twisting free and swinging at him with shocking speed. Ryan barely dodged as her fist whooshed past his face. Whoa, you're really going to fight me? Ryan said, stepping back. You're keeping me prisoner, she growled. Ryan rolled his eyes. Prisoners don't get private rooms and hot meals. You're a passenger, a very annoying passenger. Vela clenched her fists. I refuse to be trapped here. Ryan exhaled and crossed his arms. Look, princess, I don't care if you like me or not, but I'm not going to let you mess with my ship. You want to fight? Fine, but I promise you I will win. Vela's eyes narrowed. She was a trained warrior, and she clearly thought she could take him down without warning. She lunged at him. Ryan was ready. She threw a fast punch, but he blocked it, stepping aside to avoid her second attack. She was stronger than most humans, but Ryan had been in enough fights to know how to handle an aggressive opponent. He sidestepped again, grabbed her arm, and spun her around, pinning her against the wall. All right, we done here? Ryan asked, breathing hard. Vela struggled but couldn't break free. She glared at him, her breath heavy with frustration. You fight well for a human, Ryan smirked, and you fight well for someone who just lost. Her eyes flashed with anger, but she didn't argue. After a long moment, he let go of her and stepped back. Vela rubbed her wrist and muttered, this is not over. Ryan chuckled. Didn't think it was. She stormed out of the cockpit, slamming the door behind her. Ryan sighed and ran a hand through his hair. This was going to be a very long trip. Ryan sat in the cockpit of the Iron Hawk, staring at the endless stretch of stars outside. It had been 3 days since Princess Vela became his gift, and the journey had been nothing short of exhausting. She had made it her mission to be as difficult as possible. She refused to follow orders, took over the training room for hours, and even reprogrammed the ship's temperature to match her home planet, making it way too hot for Ryan's liking. Now, as Ryan sipped his coffee, the ship's alarm suddenly blared, warning multiple unknown vessels approaching. The ship's AI announced. Ryan cursed and tapped the controls, bringing up the radar screens. Several ships were closing in, fast, sleek black fighters with no official markings. Pirates know these ships were too advanced. Vela entered the cockpit, her expression sharp. "What is happening? Trouble?" Ryan muttered. He activated the comms. "Unidentified ships, state your purpose." There was no response. Instead, a voice crackled through the speakers. "Human vessel power down your engines and prepare to be boarded." Ryan's gut tightened. This wasn't a robbery. These people knew who they were. "After they're not pirates," Vela said, scanning the enemy ships. "Look at their formation. They're trained and they're targeting your ship." Ryan frowned. "No, our ship. You're here too, remember?" Vela didn't respond, but she didn't argue either. Suddenly, the enemy ships opened fire. The Iron Hawk rocked as red energy blasts slammed into its shields. "All right, that's how you want to play it," Ryan muttered, gripping the controls. He pushed the thrusters to full speed, weaving through space as more laser fire rained down. Vela grabbed the co-pilot seat. "Let me help." Ryan glanced at her. "You're going to listen to me?" Her golden eyes were serious. "I want to survive, and if these ships destroy us, I do not survive." "Fair enough." Ryan nodded toward the weapons panel. "Then fire back." Vela didn't hesitate. She activated the ship's laser cannons and aimed at the nearest enemy fighter. A direct hit sent the small craft spinning out of control before exploding in a bright burst of flames. Ryan grinned. "Nice shot." Vela smirked. "I am the best warrior of the Zareth Empire." Another explosion rocked the ship. The shields were weakening. There were still too many enemies. Ryan knew they wouldn't last long in a direct fight. He checked the star map. There was a nearby asteroid field. It was risky, but it was their only chance. "Hold on," Ryan shouted. He turned the ship sharply and shot toward the asteroid belt. The enemy ships followed, firing relentlessly. Vela kept blasting back, hitting two more, but they were still outnumbered. Ryan weaved between massive rocks, narrowly avoiding collisions. The enemy ships weren't as lucky. One crashed into an asteroid, exploding on impact. "Two left," Ryan muttered. Vela locked onto another target and fired. The enemy ship dodged, but its wing clipped an asteroid, sending it spinning. Ryan took the chance and fired the main cannon. A direct hit. One more down. The last enemy ship hesitated, then turned and fled. Ryan exhaled. "That's what I thought." Vela leaned back, catching her breath. "That was impressive." Ryan smirked. "Told you I know how to fight." She didn't argue. Instead, she stared at the wreckage of the fallen ships. "They weren't just after you," she said slowly. "They were after me too." Ryan's expression darkened. He had the same feeling. Whoever sent those ships, they weren't done yet. Ryan sat at the control panel of the Iron Hawk, staring at the wreckage of the destroyed enemy ships floating outside. His heart was still racing from the battle, but something else bothered him. These weren't random attackers. They weren't pirates or mercenaries looking for loot. No, this was something much worse. Beside him, Princess Vela stood with her arms crossed, her golden eyes locked on the wreckage. "They weren't just after you," she said. "They wanted both of us." Ryan nodded. "That's what I'm thinking too." A tense silence filled the cockpit. Vela's expression was unreadable, but Ryan could tell she was thinking hard. Finally, she turned to him. "There is only one possibility," she said. "They were assassins." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Assassins sent by who?" Vela's jaw tightened. "A faction inside this arc of empire." Ryan leaned forward. "You're saying your own people are trying to kill you?" Vela exhaled sharply. "Not all of them, but there are those who see my father as weak. They believe the empire should rule with absolute power, not diplomacy. My father Has many enemies both inside and outside the empire. Ryan frowned. And what about you? Vela hesitated. I have never supported my father's rule. I believed he was controlling me, keeping me from my true potential. I wanted to escape his influence. She clenched her fists. But now I see the truth. His enemies used me. They let me believe I was rebelling when in reality they were guiding me toward their own goals. Ryan let that sink in. So they wanted you to turn against your father? Yes, she exhaled. And once my father sent me away, they decided I was no longer useful, so they tried to eliminate me. Ryan shook his head. Damn. Your empire's politics are worse than a black market deal gone bad. Vela gave a bitter smirk. You have no idea. Ryan tapped his fingers against the console, thinking, all right, so we know they want you dead. That means they won't stop coming. Vela nodded. Yes, and they will send more skilled assassins next time. Ryan sighed. Great, just what I needed. More people trying to kill me. Vela turned to him, her expression serious. You saved my father's life. That makes you a target too. Ryan smirked. Lucky me. Vela tilted her head slightly, studying him. You do not seem afraid. Ryan shrugged. I've been shot at by space pirates, hunted by warlords, and nearly crashed into a dying star. This is just another Tuesday for me. Vela raised an eyebrow. You are either very brave or very foolish. Ryan chuckled. A little of both. He turned back to the control panel, adjusting their course. All right, we need a plan. If we keep running, they'll just keep chasing. We need to figure out who's behind this. Vela's eyes narrowed. I might have an idea. Ryan glanced at her. Oh, do tell. She hesitated for a moment, then spoke. There is a man named General Corey. He is one of my father's highest ranking military leaders. He has always believed that humans are a threat to the empire. If he is behind this, he will not stop until both of us are dead. Ryan rubbed his chin. A military leader who hates humans and thinks your father is weak? Yeah, he sounds like the perfect guy for the job. Vela's expression darkened. If he is behind this, then he will strike again, and next time we may not be so lucky. Ryan leaned back in his chair, staring at the stars. He had saved the Zareth king's life, but in doing so he had stepped into a war he didn't fully understand. One thing was certain, this wasn't over, not even close. Ryan sat in the dimly lit control room of the Hawk, his fingers tapping against the metal console. The ship's engines hummed softly, a steady sound that usually calmed him, but not today. Across from him, Vela stood with her arms crossed, her golden eyes locked on the star map. They had been discussing their next move for the past hour, but they kept hitting the same problem. They were outmatched. If General Korth is behind this, Ryan said, then he has resources, soldiers, ships, spies. If we go straight to your father, he'll be waiting for us. Vela nodded. Yes, he will likely spread lies, say that you kidnapped me or that my father is weak for trusting a human. She clenched her fists. He will turn the empire against us before we can even speak the truth. Ryan sighed. Great, so running won't work and going to your father won't work. That leaves us with. Vela smirked. Attacking first. Ryan blinked. Excuse me, you are a soldier, are you not? She asked. You understand the value of striking before your enemy expects it. Ryan leaned back in his chair. Yeah, but attacking a high-ranking Zareth general is suicide. Not if we are smart, Vela countered. She leaned over the console and pointed to a spot on the star map. This is one of Korath's private bases. He keeps his most trusted warriors here along with valuable information. If we infiltrate it, we can find proof of his betrayal. Ryan frowned. And you're sure this place has what we need? Vela nodded. I trained with Kor's forces before. He keeps records of everything, battle plans, messages, deals. If he ordered those assassins, we will find the evidence there. Ryan rubbed his temples. All right, let's say we do this. How exactly do you plan on sneaking into a heavily guarded military base? Veilless smirk widened. We do not sneak in. Ryan groaned. Oh no, you're going to say something crazy, aren't you? We walk in, she said simply. Ryan stared at her. And get shot? Vela shook her head. Not if I play my role correctly. Ryan narrowed I don't like where this is going. I will go in alone, Vela said. I will tell them I escaped from you and that I wish to speak to Kor. Ryan immediately shook his head. Absolutely not. That's insane. Vela's expression didn't change. It is the best way. Korath will not kill me right away. He will want to hear what I have to say while I keep him distracted. You will infiltrate the base and access his records. Ryan leaned forward, staring at her. You realize this could go very wrong, right? He could see through your lie, kill you on the spot, and then I'll be stuck fighting an army by myself. Vale met his gaze. Do you have a better idea? Ryan opened his mouth to argue, but nothing came. He hated this plan, but the truth was it was the only one that made sense. Finally, he exhaled. All right, but if anything goes wrong, I'm getting you out of there. Vela smirked. I would expect nothing less. Ryan shook his head. I swear you're going to be the death of me. She chuckled. Not if I die first. Ryan groaned. That's not funny. Vela just smiled as the Iron Hawk set course for Korath base. Ryan knew one thing for sure. This was the most reckless thing he had ever done, and somehow he had a feeling it was just the beginning. The Iron Hawk drifted toward the darkened surface of an isolated moon where General Korath's secret base lay hidden. The base itself was a massive fortress built into the rocky terrain, surrounded by heavy turrets and patrolling soldiers. It was the kind of place designed to keep enemies out, or in Ryan's opinion, to keep secrets in from the ship's cockpit. Ryan watched the landing pad below as a group of armored Zareth soldiers stood in formation waiting. This is your last chance to change your mind, Ryan muttered, glancing at Vela. She tightened the straps on her armor, her expression calm. We have already discussed this. Ryan exhaled. Yeah, I know, but I still think this plan is crazy. Vela smirked. Good. That means it will work. Ryan muttered something under his breath but didn't argue further. Instead, he focused on his part of the mission while Vela distracted Kor. He would infiltrate the base through the underground ventilation tunnels. If all went well, he would locate proof of Korath's betrayal and get them both out before anyone noticed. If all went well, the ship's airlock hissed open and Vela stepped out onto the landing pad. The moment she did, the Zarkeith soldiers tensed, gripping their weapons. A tall, imposing officer stepped forward, his silver armor gleaming under the base's lights. Princess Vale, he said, his tone sharp. You were given to the human. Why are you here? Vela straightened, her voice cold. Because I do not belong to anyone. I escaped, and now I demand an audience with General Kor. The officer narrowed his golden eyes. The general will decide if you are worth his time. Vela crossed her arms. Then tell him I have urgent information about the human who took me that got their attention. The officer hesitated, then nodded. Follow me. Vela walked with them, keeping her head high, but she knew the truth. She was stepping into a den of traitors, and if she made even a single mistake, she wouldn't leave this place alive. Meanwhile, underground, Ryan moved carefully through the underground tunnels, using a small handheld scanner to navigate the base's security systems. We're tight, but not impossible to bypass. All right, let's find some proof before this whole plan blows up in our faces, he muttered to himself. The deeper he went, the more he noticed something strange. Extra security, more cameras, more locked doors. Whatever Kor was hiding, he really didn't want anyone to find it. Ryan finally reached a control panel near the restricted archives. He plugged in a hacking device and waited as the system decrypted the files. Then he saw it. Orders, secret transmissions, a direct message from Korath to the assassins who attacked them. Target, human Captain Ryan and Princess Vela. Objective, eliminate them before they reach Zarath space. Status failure, send additional forces if necessary. Ryan clenched his jaw. Bingo. But before he could transfer the files, a voice echoed through his earpiece. Vela's voice. Ryan, they know. Ryan's blood ran cold. What? How? I don't know. Korath isn't here. It was a trap. Suddenly, alarms blared across the base. The sound of heavy boots echoed through the tunnels. Ryan grabbed his blaster of Course it's a trap, he muttered. Now he just had to get out alive. Ryan ducked behind a metal crate as the alarm lights flashed red across the underground tunnels. Heavy boots pounded against the steel floors above him. The base was on full alert. This just keeps getting better, he muttered in his earpiece. Vela's voice came through sharp and urgent. Ryan, listen to me. The guards are moving in your direction. You need to leave now. Ryan glanced at the data screen where Korath's secret orders were still flashing. He had to get this evidence out or everything they had risked would be for nothing. Almost done, he whispered, transferring the files onto a portable drive. What about you? I'm surrounded. Her voice was calm, but Ryan could hear the tension behind it. They haven't attacked yet. They're waiting for Korath's orders. Ryan clenched his jaw. Then I better hurry. The transfer bar filled up 100% complete. He grabbed the drive, shoved it into his jacket, and sprinted toward the nearest exit. The moment he turned the corner, 2 armored Zareth soldiers spotted him. There, one shouted. Ryan didn't stop. He dived forward just as plasma fire scorched the wall behind him. He rolled, pulled out his blaster, and fired twice. 2 direct hits. The soldiers collapsed, their armor sparking from the impact. Ryan didn't waste time. He bolted down the tunnel, dodging past crates and pipes, heading for the emergency exit hatch. Then his earpiece crackled again. Ryan, there. Taking me to the command hall. Ryan cursed under his breath. He could leave right now, escape with the data, and expose Core, but if he did, Vela would be left behind, and he wasn't about to let that happen. He turned away from the exit and sprinted toward the command hall. Vela faces Korath. Vela was forced to her knees in the middle of the command hall, surrounded by heavily armed soldiers. The room was vast, with towering holographic displays showing military reports and battle strategies. At the center of the room stood General Korath. He was tall even for his Arath, his deep crimson armor decorated with golden insignias of war. His piercing yellow eyes studied Vela like a predator examining its prey. You must think yourself very clever, Korath said, his voice deep and commanding. Walking into my base, pretending to surrender, he smirked. But your little game is over. Vale met his gaze without fear. You betrayed my father. You betrayed the Empire. Korath chuckled. Your father is a fool. He would rather beg for peace with the humans than lead our people to true dominance. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. And you were just a tool, a weapon we sharpened, only to find you useless when the time came. Vela's fists tightened, but she didn't speak. Corey turned to his soldiers. Kill her. The guards raised their weapons. Then the lights went out. Ryan's entrance. In the sudden darkness, the room filled with shouts of confusion, then blaster fire. Ryan burst in, 2 blasters in hand, firing with deadly precision. Red plasma bolts struck the guards before they even knew what was happening. Vela didn't hesitate. The moment the guards were distracted, she exploded into action. She spun, grabbed the nearest soldier's weapon, and smashed him to the ground. Korath snarled, "Kill them." Ryan ducked behind a console as more guards poured into the room. Vela, we need to move. She kicked another soldier aside and grabbed Ryan's arm. This way. Sprinted toward the emergency hangar, dodging plasma fire as alarms continued blaring behind them. Korath's furious voice echoed through the hall. Find them. They cannot escape. But Ryan just grinned. Oh, we're definitely escaping. Ryan and Vela sprinted down the metallic corridors of the base as alarms screamed around them. Behind them, Korath soldiers chased with relentless determination. Plasma fire burning through the air. This is bad, Ryan shouted as he ducked behind a steel crate, narrowly avoiding a blast that melted a nearby wall. Vela pressed her back against the crate, breathing hard. We cannot hold them off forever. We must reach the hangar. Ryan reloaded his blaster. Then let's move before they cut us off. They dashed down the final hallway, the hangar doors in sight, but before they could reach them, the bulkhead slammed shut with a deafening clang. Ryan cursed. They locked it. A voice crackled through the intercom. Core's voice. You are trapped, he said. His tone filled with cruel amusement. Your foolish mission ends here, Ryan's mind raced. They had come too far to fail now. Think, Vila suddenly grabbed his arm. There is another way. Ryan followed her gaze to a control panel on the wall. It was linked to the ship docks. If they could override it, they could open the emergency launch bay. You handle that, Ryan said. I'll buy us time. Vila nodded and rushed to the panel while Ryan turned toward the advancing soldiers. The first wave of guards stormed in, weapons raised. Ryan rolled to the side, firing in rapid succession. 3 guards went down instantly, but more kept coming. Vela worked fast, her fingers moving across the control screen. Almost there, a heavy soldier charged at Ryan, swinging a massive electrobat. Ryan barely dodged, feeling the heat of the weapon pass inches from his face. He aimed and fired, direct hit to the chest. The soldier fell, but more were coming. Vela, anytime now, Ryan shouted. Done. She yelled. A loud warning siren echoed as the emergency launch bay doors slammed open. The force of decompression ripped through the room, sending loose crates and debris flying into space. Ryan grabbed onto a support beam just in time. The enemy soldiers weren't so lucky. Several were sucked out into the void before the emergency shields activated. Vela leaped toward a waiting Zareth fighter ship. Ryan followed, jumping into the pilot's seat as soon as the ship powered up. Korath's voice rang out again. You think you have won, he growled. You are nothing, and you will not escape. Ryan smirked. Watch me. He punched the thrusters, and the ship blasted out of the hangar at full speed. The final confrontation. As soon as they hit open space, enemy fighters launched from the base. They are coming, Vela said, gripping the controls. Ryan checked the radar. 5 enemy ships in pursuit. He grinned. Good. I was hopping for a real challenge. The first enemy ship opened fire. Ryan pulled the controls hard, twisting the ship through an asteroid field. The enemy pilots followed, but they weren't ready for Ryan's flying. Vela locked onto a target, firing missiles. The explosion lit up the darkness as one ship was destroyed. Ryan maneuvered through the chaos, dodging enemy fire. Another fighter tried to flank them, but Vela blasted it with perfect precision. Ryan smirked. Not bad, princess. She gave a small smile. Not bad yourself. The last fighter was still on their tail. Ryan suddenly cut the engines, making the ship drop. The enemy pilot flew straight past them, right into Vela's waiting crosshairs. One final shot, and it was over. The base grew smaller behind them as they finally escaped. Victory and the future as they set course for neutral space. Ryan glanced at Vela. We did it. She nodded. Yes, and now we take this evidence to my father. Ryan leaned back. Think he'll listen? Vela's expression softened. After this, he will have no choice. Ryan smirked. Good, because I'm not done yet. Vela raised an eyebrow. Oh, Ryan stretched. Yeah. I'm thinking I really don't like Kor, and I wouldn't mind seeing him pay for all this. Vela's golden eyes gleamed. Then perhaps, Captain Ryan, we should plan next move together. Ryan chuckled. Sounds like a plan, princess. As the stars stretched ahead of them, one thing was clear. This was just the beginning. The end